All right, welcome back. Episode 26 of the Young Old Heads podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy, aka TV Sports Cards, and I'm here with my good friend Max, aka Down Bad Max this week, Cards Max. How you doing, Max?
I'm doing good. I'm glad that this is the mathematical, actual half-year anniversary of the podcast, if my math is right. But I believe it's right this time.
Yep.
26 times 2 is 52.
Yep.
And it feels like yesterday that Tommy provided conception to this idea and making it a reality.
Was it my idea? I thought it was your idea. Am I tripping?
Are we both tripping?
Maybe. But this week we have a very special guest for the half year anniversary episode. We have famous Twitter personality and collecting genius at your mom's first Bowman. Probably the best name ever. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're good. We're good. Max, do you want to do a quick rundown of how your week went for everyone?
My week is going well. I feel like I am constantly managing cards and buying and selling, hence Tommy's hinting of pessimism, that I'm trying to re-enter my joy for cards and collecting, which means I probably need a new passion project soon. But it's been a lot of numbers, it's been a lot of buying, selling, and that's gross. That's not good. That's stinky.
Yeah. I want to see some more Glaber Torres PC pickups this week potentially. Well, I have maybe a card that I got in my update hobby box that I might need to send your way to cheer you up a little bit. But at your mom's first Bowman, I'll figure out a way to shorten that up for the rest of the episode. But how are you doing? What's going on in your collecting world this week?
Not a whole lot. I've been going a little bit hard on Josh Allen lately because I'm emotionally buying every time they win, and so I'm in card timeout a little bit. So nothing necessarily fun coming in the mail.
Yeah,
But
I'm familiar with card timeout.
yeah.
I'm a frequent
I think I'm
visitor.
joining you both in card timeout right now.
But when did your Josh Allen love collecting start? Or like, was there a first card that you got that was like, oh dang, this is the guy?
I haven't really ever been into football. Mostly I just collect baseball and Formula One, a couple of other things here and there, but primarily Formula One and baseball. But
Mm-hmm.
this past year, I was like, I need something to pay attention to in the winter months, and so I started thinking about trying to participate in the football thing that America does. But this time I wanted a team that would actually not be garbage, since I'm so burned from the Angels. And so I started shopping for teams, and I decided to go as far east as I could. And I landed with the Bills, and I just kind of started learning about the game from there. I really was quite ignorant about all of it. I'm still learning, but it's been a lot of fun, and the Bills are so much fun to watch. And it just seems like it's got all the ingredients for a team that I would like to support. It's got a good color scheme. It seems like all the players are really good people, beside just what they do on the field. And so it just kind of snowballed from there. When I do things, I tend to really do them. there's no there's no moderation. It's all or nothing. And so I went all in on it. But I started with some Donruss. I really like the classic look of Donruss, just base and then the press proof parallels. And just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, I saw one of your what is the press proof that you posted on Twitter today? Was it out of 99 or is it 199?
It's out of 100. It's a silver press proof.
Oh, that one's super clean. I hadn't seen that one before. So I have mad respect for Josh Allen PC, and also cool that you just kind of decided to pick him and like learn football through the Bills. I think me and my friends were talking last night watching the game about how they kind of play a very different type of game. It looks like almost like a high school game sometimes when they're playing, but just because of how easy it is for Josh Allen to just like mow down guys. But I love his rated rookie. Max, do you have any thoughts on Josh Allen rookies? Have you ever owned any cool ones?
I have owned a generic Prism PSA 9 once. Definitely not one that's too exciting. I know that entire year of quarterbacks, I know Lamar Jackson is in the same year. It's overall a very strong group of quarterbacks. And good, strong offensive quarterbacks are usually fun to follow, especially in the context of football.
For sure. So is your classic love of like Donruss press proofs and Donruss in football, does that cross over to your baseball collection at all?
Baseball is funky for me. I'm kind of all over the grade with baseball. Um, I used to be very rigid in my collecting. I would only collect Angels. I would only collect uh, for a while. I was PCing David Fletcher. I moved off him just because I kind of lost the love for it. It wasn't that much fun anymore, so I just kind of got out of him. Luckily, it wasn't super expensive to do, but I used to be very rigid in that, and so now I feel like I just try to go with aesthetics more than anything. To be honest, like I'm just looking for cool, rarer stuff, um, more like numbered parallels and stuff like that. Just I got this blue wave of trout a while ago from I think Mike. I forgot his last name, Mike McKenna, I think.
Yeah.
But that's just, like in hand, it's just a sick card, and so I'm shooting to add more things like that. I like classic flagship rookie cards the most, but even that's kind of shifting a little bit just with how many products Topps is putting out with the rookie card symbol on it.
Yeah.
Not even taking into account what is a rookie card. Like I don't want to touch that.
We're not touching that. We let the listeners decide what rookie cards are for themselves. But when you say that you were like rigid before in collecting, what does that mean?
I would say, okay, I'm only gonna collect X player. I'm only gonna collect like Angels cards. Like I would put myself in like this hobby box, and I would only like allow myself to purchase, purchase whatever it was that I said that I'm gonna only collect this, and it got super boring and kind of depressing. And there's only so much you can do with those parameters. Like if I'm only gonna buy Angels cards, there's like Mike Trout, there's Shohei, who I'm not buying anymore because I'm convinced he's leaving.
I hope so.
Yeah, I know. For his sake, he probably should.
Yeah.
But it's just like being more go with the flow with it has been a lot more enjoyable than just saying, okay, I'm only going to do this and then only shopping along those parameters. And so now it's just more freewheeling. Whatever I kind of feel like, I don't go like off course too much. I tend to stick with just my PC people, but it's been a lot more fun just opening up my own self-imposed borders, I guess.
I know. I feel like, Tommy, you're way more liberal and free going with what you collect, and you catch whatever is cool. And I'm more of the polar opposite of keeping stuff rigid and confined. I know for stuff that I collect, I'm like, okay, I can only do Yankees lifers. Otherwise, if they join the team late, they're just going to leave again. And then I'm going to have a bunch of worthless crud that doesn't have emotional meaning. But I've slowly myself have lowered the rigidness, and I've stumbled into collecting Mike Trout just because Mike Trout is cool. Do you focus, I guess, like I know you have big passion projects or PCs for Alex Bregman and Hamilton. Do you find the player first, or does the card stumble on you and then you're like, I want it, and then you form the collection around it?
That's a good question. The first card that I saw that was a Bregman that I was like, I have to have this or else I'm going to explode. It was a Topps Now base relic auto. And I just thought it was the coolest thing like I'd ever seen. I like relics more than almost anything. Like I like autos, obviously. But in terms of like hits, if it's a nice like fat patch, or if it's a bat like barrel, that's my jam. Like that's what I shoot. That's what I shoot for. And so I'd never seen a base relic before, and I was like, oh shit, this is cool. Sorry. And
no, it's fully explicit out here, so we're good.
Okay. But that's what kind of kicked it off. And so I started looking at more Topps Now stuff, and then I started looking at more Bregman stuff, and then it just kind of snowballed off of that. So I guess for Bregman, it probably was the card, and then it just blew up from there. Hamilton, he's kind of a different case. F1 is a lot more limited than baseball is, or even football and basketball. It's newer. They've only been making cards since 2020. And so there's a lot less out there, and it's a lot more expensive. So there aren't very many relics. I have a Hamilton relic that I've been trying to give to a friend of mine who won't give me his address to send it to him. But it's just not very common. It's harder to I guess accept that this is like race used or event used or whatever. Like my whole thing is I enjoy like game used stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the Panini like player used or event worn, whatever it is.
The fake shit.
Are the top? Or do you know offhand if the 20. I know in F1 paper for this year, they have the race worn relics. Are those like actually race worn, or are those like the more usual, like they put on 20 outfits and took them off?
I don't know. Top says that they are race used, but I'm a little skeptical just
Okay.
because I don't know how strong the Topps like connection with Formula One is at this point, just because it's fresh. It's easier with the Dynasty cards because those have like advertiser logos on it, or like the names or the zippers, like really cool stuff in those cards. But for
The
the
paper,
paper,
yeah.
yeah, it's most of it's just like napkins. Um, and so I don't know.
Yeah, who
Who
knows?
knows?
Yeah, our podcast F1 correspondent, Sunsport Trading on Instagram, he is very skeptical of Topps' relationship with F1 and does not think that really any of the relics that they put out are super race worn stuff. But I will say my first ever relic I ever pulled in my life was a 2002 Upper Deck MVP base relic for Troy Gloss on the
Oh, that's
Angels.
sick.
Yeah,
I
it
love
was.
that guy.
Yeah, I was obsessed with that card because I was like, I was like 5 years old, and I was like, holy shit, this is a base that was used in the game. I creased the hell out of it too because it was just thick as hell. But yeah, I ended up gifting that over to one of my friends who collects Angels cards like way back. But
I know.
I share the love of base relics, and I've recently bought this Barry Bonds one that I talked about last week that I thought was super cool. Like it had like a date from the base too on the back,
That's
which was
cool.
cool. Yeah,
I know
but
my first relic hit was not when I was 5, when I was 15. I think my dad gave me a little bit of money so that I can buy a pack of baseball cards. And, I went into I think I went into Rite Aid with my sister. My sister would sometimes enjoy either watching me open the packs or see me open the packs. And I got a jumbo relic of Jason Worth, and it was 3-color or whatever. It
that's
has like
awesome.
it wasn't just a tiny square, it was a big circle, had a little bit of a W. It was
Damn,
at a 25, and that at that point I'm like, wow, a gold parallel is at a 2014.
that's a banger.
There's only 2013 other copies of this. I'm like, whoa, I'm holding it at 25. And then my sisters were marking on how glorious Jason Worth's beard is on the card, and how that's just a very fun card.
Hey,
But
whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you think cards are cool, right? So, so your mom, how long have you been collecting cards?
I started collecting in I think 2013 or 2014. I actually worked at a hobby shop for about 2 or 3 years. I originally got hired on because I was into comics at the time, not hardcore like some of these people are, but I started working in a hobby shop for comics and stuff, and they had cards there, and uh, and so I've always been into baseball and stuff like that. So I bought a couple packs here and there, and then it slowly transformed into more and more. And then I was buying boxes, and it's all gone. And many thousands of dollars later, here I am.
Yeah, so your start also was ripping packs, not you weren't like
Yes,
going to card shows or something. How is
that's
your
correct.
what is your main way of obtaining cards these days? Are you an eBay sleuther like me and Max are most of the time, or you hop
a,
around shows, or
a
how do
top
you,
snower.
are you just Twitter stacking up or whatever?
Um, Mostly it's on eBay. Singles on Twitter. I haven't been to very many card shows. I think I've been to like two ever. And it's just not something that I do on a regular basis. Uh, I don't know if it's just like laziness on my part to get out of the house on the weekends, or just like a lack of them out here. I'm in Southern California, and I know that they are here, but a lot of the times they're in Orange County, which is a little bit of a drive for me, or something like that. But mostly I just buy singles on Twitter or My Slabs or eBay, um, and go from there.
Oh, but you're on like multiple online places. You're not just eBay or like just
Correct.
social
Yeah.
media. You're on my. That's cool. Are you so do you buy and sell cards? Are you just collecting, or like what is your strategy with the financial aspect of the hobby?
Usually it's losing money. But I don't sell unless I'm trying to fund another purchase. Um, I try very hard to keep it strictly to a collecting thing for me, because when I back when I was first into it, I was selling a lot more, but this was exclusively on eBay. I didn't even know hobby Twitter was a thing. But it kind of killed some of the fun for me. And so when I got like heavily back into it a couple years ago, I was like, this time I just kind of want to stick to collecting. Selling is a lot of work. It seems like a lot of work, and I just would rather just do small potatoes, buy and sell only for PC stuff essentially.
Yeah, that's why I'm always trying to have Max consign all my stuff for me and sell it for me, because I'm way too lazy, and I just like, my roommates know if I'm doing a sale for a week, I only try to do them like once or twice a year. I'm just like dead tired, but I just have to do so much work, and I'm just like, dude, what am I doing? It's like, they're like, this is the only time you ever question cards, but you still keep going. So that's why we know you're really truly about it. But I want to hear more about your Alex Bregman PC. What's your coolest card, or like your favorite card, coolest card, strategies?
I think my favorite at the moment is probably, I just got a tier 1 bat barrel. It's got like the brand logo on it. It's pretty sick.
What brand does he use for bats?
I think it's Marucci. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, Marucci. That's a sick one.
Yeah, so that one is pretty cool. That's like the most recent like significant pickup. I've been trying to add some more of his flagship parallels. I got a camo off of Ahog Cards, who's the Bregman GOAT. I got a camo from him. I got the black at a 67, I think it was that year. And I was trying to figure out how, in some way, shape, or form, I could get a clear, but it's just not in the cards right now for me. That's a significantly more expensive card than I can swing, even with the levels that I can swing money with for cards.
Yeah,
I talk myself into at least.
Yeah. For me, that bar keeps going up, but I don't know if there's any justification for it. But
yeah, there are only 10 of them, and so it's super short printed. It's a very desirable card. It doesn't help that he's doing really well this year. So
yeah, the clears. I'm always a big fan of the clears. Max, have you ever purchased any clears?
Have I purchased a clear? Not recently. They are one of my favorite parallels, and I think they're so cool in hand. I know people argue if it's a gimmick or not, but I'm pro clear. I think the problem is, like, okay, I've seen two of the 10 Wander Franco clear parallels have been at auction in the past 2 or 3 weeks. Wander is heavily bought and sold and whatever. Alex Bregman, that's like stashed away in someone's collection. I guess the good thing is Judge 2017 Series 1, I think Bregman is ripped for Judge. So, and I guess Bregman's secondary, but there's still some of them that are going to be in the wild. It's not like you have it just trapped in like 2020 update where no one touches, or 2016 update has Trevor Story and that's it. You're never going to see another new Trevor Story parallel pop up ever. But I have to imagine those Bregman parallels are locked away in diehard Astros collections.
I mean, they're not super common. I think there were 3 black cards when I was looking for one. I hadn't seen a camo until Ahog Cards posted his for sale, and that's why I wanted to snap it up, because I hadn't seen one, and they only get harder to find at those lower parallel numbers. But yeah, it's not a lot in terms of what's available right now. I'm sure after the World Series, we'll see a lot more, especially if the Astros win.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like something I always try to keep in mind, like, because I'm a Warriors fan. When they won the title last year, I was like, oh, I really want to buy all these cards of these guys, but maybe this is the wrong time because everyone's trying to buy cards of them. But then I was like, also, some of these cards are so rare, they only come up for sale when something big happens. So maybe that's my only time really to enter in. But can you give us? Me and Max love to talk about our favorite parallels. Can you give us maybe like a top 5, or maybe not in order, but like just like purely aesthetically favorite to collect, like parallels from Topps?
Sure. I don't know if it's going to be in order.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in order. I feel like that's too tough of an ask.
I really do love the black parallels. I think I think it's Max who has the Trout black parallels. Is that correct?
I am slowly stacking them. If
Yeah,
I've
those are
seen,
sick.
saw one on eBay, and I chirped my way into getting blocked by the seller, and I want the card so badly I'm tempted to have someone proxy an offer and then just have the card sent to me. But I am trying to stack my Trout plaques because I guess both from a financial standpoint, I'm a big believer in it. From like a Trout could be the next mantle of the hobby, and Topps blacks are the card, and also it's like really fun and relatively in the budget. I like
Yeah,
Topps
for
black.
sure. Yeah, those are sick. They look really clean, especially with the whole border thing this year. I think 2022 looks a lot better than 2021, just like purely aesthetics. But yeah, those look really sick. So I think black border for sure. Um, Probably blue wave. Uh, Atomic is
That's a
always
hot
something
take.
that I like.
Yeah, blue
Oh,
wave is a hot take.
I know nobody likes the waves.
I respect it
Uh,
though.
yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I'm telling you, man, it's the trout blue wave from the trout farm. It did something to me. But so yeah, black border, the blue wave. I like atomics a lot. Base sapphire, like from 2019, like the non-blue sapphires. I think those are sick.
Yeah.
Um,
I so like the atomic, like the early 2010s, like atomics that were really low numbered, I think are really sick. Those things are,
yeah, those are dope. And then I like purple refractors a lot more now than I did. Um,
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure that is exclusively because I pulled the Hamilton purple. But
Well, that's pretty sick. I feel like purple refractors get like no love at all in the hobby. Max, what do you think?
I think there's compelling. Like I'm trying to really dig into the thoughts here, but I think yeah, purple isn't loved because some people just see it as junk. But I'm thinking about no, because people are like, okay, well, there's your gold, and then there's your red, and then orange-ish, and then blue's been around forever, and it's like,
Well,
well,
purple is like
what's the difference?
299 in Chrome. That's
Yeah,
like way too high numbered.
what's the difference between purple and pink magnetic sparkle that they're introducing the past 2 years? But I like the wave take just because wave more action is happening on the car and more light reflecting and whatever, and I think that can just show as like more action being on the card, especially for Chrome. That's interesting. I don't know how to rank the power rankings of like a true versus a logo fractor versus a mega versus a shimmer versus a wave, and I think some people go to true just because it's simpler than all that nonsense. But I think from like a putting it on your mantle standpoint, that's a good take. At the very
So
least, a controversial one.
yeah, we love a
Being pro
controversial
wave.
collecting yeah, we love a controversial one. But so something that I think about first when I think of Max's black trouts, is that he has them in SGC slabs. And that made me think, what's your collection? Are you grading everything? Do you submit yourself? Or are you just like raw out of binders, boxes and stuff?
I do not grade very much. I've subbed to PSA once. I've subbed to SGC once, and it's just not my thing. I just prefer how they look in one touches. It's really that simple, and I feel like that's underwhelming for a lot of people who want to argue about grading and grading companies. But it's just, I just, it's really that basic bitch of me. I just like how they look in the one touches more.
Yeah, I totally respect that. That's my big take. Max is a seller, I feel like, is pro grading, but as
No,
I
not
know,
even.
collecting, you love PSA 10s. You're a big PSA 10 guy.
So
And you're the opposite
I
end of the
have
spectrum.
jokingly a little bit of traumatic experience in that I love my parents. My parents are so great. I think when I was like 14 or 15, they saw that I was getting back into cards, and they got me this like showcase or mantle to put like on the wall. And I got like one. I had like maybe 3 total one touches that I put like my special cards in, and the the shelves of the showcase was not large enough to put one touch cards in. So that made me relegate to have them put into top loaders, and that made it uglier. But that aside, my overarching anti one touch take is that I don't like having barriers obstruct the card, which is a little bit why I'm not anti top loader, but like if I'm putting a really nice card. Tommy, you look so confused right now.
Dude, I want to know where you're going with this.
If you're putting a really nice card on the wall behind like a glass case, and then you're putting like another plastic protector over it, how are you able to see the refractor? How are you able to see it shine and cool and have rainbows on your Chrome cards? I think cards look best naked.
Dude,
that's a fair point.
That is a good take.
And at least with like
mad
slabs,
respect if anyone's out here just like
you
putting their cards out.
This John Sherma is refracting like crazy in the PSA case. Not to mention I'm a klutz and I don't have to worry about like damaging it. Like this is shining. I can't get that same shine in a one touch, let alone in a one touch behind a display case.
All right, I'm proving that to you this week, Max. I'm going to send you some pictures of some of my cards in one touches that look better than a PSA slab.
Yes, and it will look even better if you take the picture without the glass cover, the plastic cover on it.
Well, yeah, I only keep the plastic cover on in the boxes. If I'm on display, the plastic covers are off the one touches, and the one touches look clean.
I feel I get like paranoid about, oh no, what if I like clip it and then like I get like a little imprint on the one touch, and most of the time it's not a penny sleeve, and I'm not a conditioned snob or I have OCD or anything. I'm just like, I have to make sure that I don't do anything to make it worse.
Yeah, wait, I actually have one clip rumor that does your mom's first Bowman collect first Bowman cards? That's a big question I had going into this.
I don't. I'm actually pretty anti-prospecting at this point in my life.
Wow. But you're not even going like, even guys you collect now who are good, you wouldn't go back and get their first Bowmans or anything?
Nah, I'm over it. I understand the allure of prospecting, and it's totally fine, but it's just not for me. Like I have a whole lot of Brandon Marsh first Bowmans, and he's now a Philly playing in the World Series, and it's just like, I'm done.
I felt so silly. I remember I found like a Brandon Marsh 101, and I'm like, this is so cool. Like, this is cool. And you're like, they traded him. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea.
I feel like, all right, this is something that brings me back to something you guys were talking about earlier, which is like, you guys were down on your teams. You're like, oh, I'm an Angels fan, I'm a Yankees fan. I feel like that impacts your like collecting strategies must at some level, because I feel like I have much easier targets to like be strict, because I'm like, oh, only dudes that were on the teams that won titles and like, or anything. And obviously,
yeah, you've had one of those recently.
I'm lucky, obviously, but like that makes collecting easier, I think, for me than it does for like. That's just what your conversation earlier made me think about. But Max, what were we talking about? I just totally lost my train of thought.
Before this, we were talking about one touches and
yes,
the nudity.
Yes, well, one touches, I think some people hate having chrome in one touches is one thing. I'm not like that, but I was gonna ask your mom, how do you display your cards? Like in wherever you live, like do you keep things out? Are you like keep everything hidden, break it out and look at it every once in a while? Or do you have like a certain do you move stuff around? Like I like to have these card stands in my room that I like switch out the cards based on like whatever's going on, or like if I want to, or if I get new stuff in. What's your strategy with that?
Yeah, it's pretty close to that. I have my case, my display case up on my desk in my living room, and I have a Hamilton row, I have a Trout row, I have a Bregman row, and I have an Allen row now. And so pretty much there are a few staples that stay in there, like the Trout Update Rookie. That's a permanent piece. My Trout Auto, I only have one now, so that's a permanent piece. But there's other ones like on the peripheral of it that I'll sub in and out depending on my mood. Like every now and again, I'll go through my boxes, and I only have one box now, so I'll go through my box, and I'll see if there's any that are just like, I want to throw this up in there, and then usually on Sunday nights I'll rearrange it, and that's when I usually post my setup pics. But I have my case, and then I have like a very much more rotating area where it's just like little card stands on a shelf on my desk, and that's primarily like Jared Walsh right now, I think.
Nice. Well, that's cool. You have that's a very good system. I feel like something that always is going to make someone stay like more motivated and fresh in cards is to like switch up your display, see different stuff, don't keep stuff hidden away. I think that's always a good call. But
yeah, it's fun. I like to do that on Sunday. It's like my Sunday coffee and evening routine.
Yeah, that's a great routine for sure. Mine's pretty random. I just am like, damn, these cards have been up too long, I'm gonna put up new ones, and then I'll like leave these up too long probably. And like I have this like Harper like refractor Gold Cup up right now for the World Series, but I'll probably end up leaving that up like 2 extra weeks for no reason, even if they lose. But me and Max love to talk about, not to change the topic too quickly, but just like important, like educating yourself and how important relationships can be in like collecting experiences and like growing your like knowledge and also like your strategies. Or are there any important people in your hobby life that you feel like you want to shout out here and like tell any stories about?
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend. His name is Gordon. He goes by GKM underscore sports cards, I think his Twitter handle is.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of my best friends, I would say, in real life. He actually took me to my first card show up in Canada earlier in the year.
Cool.
And he's kind of like my hobby therapist, I guess. We commiserate rising prices, and celebrate each other's good gets with each other. And so he's one of my better friends in the hobby. I'm like casually friends with some other people. Those back pages is a great follow. Sue Tiska for the Trout Envy. She's the Trout Queen for sure.
Oh yeah, she has crazy Trout cards.
Dude, man, sometimes I'll just roll through her media on her Twitter and just be like, oh my God, this is the goal.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, I try to follow people with different PC people than me, just so that I can see, like, outside of my little bubble that I'm in. It's really cool to see what gets other people fired up. But off the top of my head, probably those ones.
Yeah, I feel like every time that I start talking shit about like a product or something, and I'm like, no one collects that, I see something on Twitter of someone like being super hyped about collecting a product that like I just was talking, and I'm like, oh, okay, this person likes it. I can't actually really be like talk that much shit about it. Like, but that's cool. I think always good to have people to share your hobby successes with. Growing up, I was like very much collecting and like kind of isolation, and I think that definitely led to me like dropping out of it for a little bit through high school, and then I found my love for it once I discovered hobby Twitter, the great world of hobby Twitter in 2020. But what was your story of like, have you been on hobby Twitter for a long time, or I'm shocked that like I feel like your mom's first Bowman, probably one of the first 10 to 20 Twitter names ever taken. So I feel like you probably have been on for a while.
No, I joined in December of 2019. It was actually because I was tired of being late to all the news with baseball in the off season, and then the whole Astros trash can thing broke. And so I was like, okay, I want to actually be someplace where I can find out things faster than just Reddit. I don't have any other social media. And so I was like, primarily like, I'll just use this to lurk. And then it blew up into like something I'm on more than I would like to admit. Yeah. But yeah, no, I was surprised your mom's first Bowman wasn't taken. I mean, it's elegant, Oh,
it's perfect. It's just the perfect name, and I've never followed anyone faster than when I saw your account. I was just like, this is like, I don't even know, I don't even care, just instant follow. But I'm glad you gave a shout out to those back pages. Eric's an absolute hobby legend and has been influential in me and Max's collecting as well, and just like sticking to like cool shit. And I feel like his collecting strategy is very similar to ours of just like low parallels, rare stuff, iconic cards. But
yeah, I always try to make sure I look at what he's doing to make sure that not necessarily that I'm mimicking it or doing it right, but ensuring that I have his strategy and mindset is very good and has stood past the test of time with all the years that he's been collecting. So I usually try to act similarly as to him, or at the very least reference him comparatively.
Yeah. He's like the godfather of this podcast, I feel like, in some regard. So shout out him. But we like to end every episode by talking about our latest pickups. And usually when I start to say we're ending the episode, this takes another like 15-20 minutes. So just buckle up. But Max, last week, maybe last, you can push it a little bit if you want. What's your recent pickups? What's your strategies? What's your thought behind them? What are they?
I will highlight one that I picked up recently. It was on Twitter. As of now, we were referencing the Mike Trout Blacks. I have one of the 2022, which is an SGC 9.5. I have 3 of the 2021 in an SGC 9.5 and PSA 9 and 8. I have 1 of the 2020 in a PSA 6. I think I mentioned before, I bought it raw, graded it, I got a 6, cracked it, sent it out again. got a 6. And a new addition, there it is. A new addition from this week is I grabbed a 2019 flagship Mike Trout Black. It's a PSA 9. All of them are hard to find. I'm not just going to say, oh, this one's hard to find, but I am unofficially maybe kind of making a full year run. I know 2012 is very expensive and 2011 is even.
Well, yeah, you're not getting
like,
it 20.
It's like a house. It's like a house down payment. Yeah, but I have fun hoarding them and collecting them and enjoying them. So the 2019 was a big pickup for me.
I feel like 2019 Trout is a pretty good image compared to some of them. There's definitely worse images.
I so disagree. You're not the first person to say that.
People disagree?
Love it. Yeah, people love his 2019. Some people love his 2016. I think like these crazy jumping, like catching cards are so ugly. But then at the same time, people will knock on Aaron Judge's catching card because like, oh, because his 287 2017 Top Series 1 is of him catching and not fielding. And not batting. But I'm like, that's so cool. He's just a 25-year-old unheralded rookie, and he's one of the best hitters ever. I mean, in this current era of baseball over the past 3 years or so. And it's a picture of him like barely making a catch. So people give Judge that hate and think it's an ugly card, but they praise when Trout makes a big catch. I like the Judge card because it's ugly. I don't think this is a good looking photo.
Yeah, I mean, he has that. What's the year that he has the really iconic, like robbing the home run?
I believe it's 2019. It's that photo.
Oh, I must be tripping then.
I believe so.
There's another one. I think it's 2016.
Yeah,
I think 2016 is a much better photo than 19.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think that's its main problem for 2019 is that there's a better version of it already. It's like when Panini tried to remake the LeBron chalk toss in like 2015 hoops, but it's just a worse card than the 08 Topps one. So it's like you can't do that. You can't just make a worse version of an iconic card.
The picture, like his, at least in the 2019, his arm is obstructing his face. In the 2016, I'm looking at it now, his head is entirely turned away. It's a nice picture of Mike Trout's jersey and backside, but it's like the Julio Rodriguez.
Dude, that's like saying,
from this year being of, and it's the Julio Rodriguez SSP from this year is an Ichiro card. Julio Rodriguez's back is facing the card. I don't like it.
I don't know. There's a lot of history of cards with people's back face because of the name and number on the back. But
okay, this is a Charizard card that has his back for the entire picture, and it looks a lot worse than this Charizard, which is a portrait front and center.
I like Charizard trying to rob home runs, dude. Where are those cards? Where are those?
Tearing his ACL.
No. Oh my God, Jesus. Well, I got my ComC order in Max this week, and I think it really made me think about how much I pick up stuff these days based on the images of the cards. Like I picked up these like Stadium Club cards of Tim Hudson and Travis Ishikawa from the 2015 Stadium Club of the 2014 World Series. It's just like Tim Hudson kissing the trophy and Ishikawa rounding the bases after he hit the home run. I just am like, those are just sick images. I'm buying those. Like I never would. Also, just ComC in general is just a rabbit hole for someone who just will collect any team. Like I was just sucked in when I was looking for these.
Circling back very quickly to what we were talking about, I guess pre-recording. I love that I have a ComC page right now, and it's just 6 different cards of the Los Angeles Angels Rally Monkey, and it's just the same picture but just with like different borders. And I like that you can actually get kind of a glossary of that with visuals on ComC.
Yeah, you got to send me a screenshot of that, Max, so I can put it up on our socials after this. But yeah, I got some. Like I have this thing with basketball cards, basically because of this dude on Twitter, Refs in the back. He got me just like obsessed with looking in the back of cards now for basketball. So I have this obsession. Like if I see I collect Klay Thompson cards for basketball, and if I see a card where like LeBron's guarding him or something, I just buy it immediately now if it's like $1 or less. So that was a lot of what my order was. But I got a lot of cheap cards in, and then this one Brandon Crawford card that has like him next to Bryce Harper and Nolan Arenado, which I just think is a sick image. And so I will always buy parallels of that card. But yeah, that's like, in terms of like structure, I'm thinking back to like the idea of like rigidness with collecting. I don't know why, but I feel like I'm now just like trust my gut a lot more, which is like, I'm in hobby timeout a lot, but I'm also like, trust your gut. If this card is never going to show up again, it's rare or like cool, or like just buy it if it's pretty cheap. That's where I'm at right now. But that's my reflection on the week. Now you, as our guests, have to close out with what even if you haven't bought anything in the last week, maybe you can go back a little farther, just explain your recent buys, why you got them, what you're excited about.
For sure. My last major buy was a Gabe Davis Mosaic Blue. I forget what it's out of. I think it's out of 99. But it was a really nice blue. I love Mosaic. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I absolutely love Mosaic. So I grabbed that, and I also got a Josh Allen impeccable auto. I love Origins a lot, and he doesn't have very many autographs in Origins. And this card, it almost looks like the Color Blast, like the clouds, the blue and red on it. And I was like, oh my God, like I saw it, and it was like one of those cards that like immediately like burrowed into my brain, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, I don't know if you guys have like the same like mental problems I have with cards, but if I see one that it's just like, oh my God, like I have to figure out how to get it.
That's where I'm at. I feel like I find a new card like every few days where I'm just like, fuck, here's another one. I gotta go do it. I gotta go get it. But very much respect to that.
I'm very pro Mosaic. I like the Mosaic as its own brand.
You're Mr. Peacock.
I'm Mr. Peacock.
The peacocks are so sick. Oh
they look so good. They look so good. Even I think the colors pop. There's not a lot of junk on the card. The Prism Mosaics were uglier. Not monetary or whatever, but like I feel like they look cooler than they're worth. And I think in general, that's a good medium and equilibrium for like being able to buy stuff for fun. Yeah. I have considered buying Mosaic baseball just to like put on the mantle, but I feel like everyone that has low numbered Panini baseball cards acts like it's an actual licensed 101, and it's farther from the case.
Yeah.
But
no one
regardless,
puts those up for auction ever. They're always like way too high buy now.
There's like 3 Chrome products that Panini has. There's probably a lot more, but I can only think of 3. And those are Prism, Mosaic, and Optic. And Mosaic is definitely way below the other 2, and looks wise way cooler.
Yeah,
not
it's
way
like
cooler,
that.
But like very cool, but also very cool.
I feel like it's the ugly stepchild of those, but also like has devout followers of Mosaic, which I'm not one of them, but I will respect. I feel like Mosaic just struggles a lot with the parallel dilution. Just like too many that look similar.
Sure.
Like
for sure.
Like the gold. I opened a blaster or something in basketball this year. I pulled like the gold, whatever blaster exclusive. I literally can't tell the difference between that card and the actual gold out of 10. I was like, this is just. I have a problem with that, enthusiast, but I'm also a hater. I'm also a hater though, so I can't.
The problem is like the really, really rare cards outside of Peacock have like a lot of respect because like, ooh, it's a gold 10, it's worth $1 billion. And the retail parallels, everyone is just a degenerate and will rip retail and they're stuck with them.
Yeah.
So they know the parallels, but like the numbered out of like 49, purple, or the out of 99 blue are just so completely ignored because like the high-end buyers don't care and the low-end buyers never get to pull them, so they just exist.
Damn, that's I think that's a good thought to leave on, Max.
The ugly stepchild of Panini.
The Mosaic rant. But well, thank you so much for coming on. We'll definitely have to have you on again. If you have any thoughts on the episode or anything, make sure to reach out on Twitter and Instagram at Young Old Heads podcast on Instagram, at young_old_heads on Twitter. Obviously, at Your Mom's First Bowman is active on Twitter, has one of the best follows out there, Max. Yeah, I feel like easily top 5 follows on Twitter these days on hobby Twitter.
Double best.
Yikes. I appreciate it, but I don't know how real that is.
Well,
I complain a lot about like Trader Joe's and shit, man. Like,
yeah, but it's
like
life.
It's good complaints.
When is Trader Joe's releasing its own product? What would it All right, real quick, last thought. Trader Joe's card product. What does that look like? I feel like it's a Goodwin Champions type vibe.
I mean, this isn't a sports analysis podcast, but I think they have a good blend between healthy food and tasty food.
Okay. I respect that. I'm just trying to think of like what would happen if they sold a card product, what it would look like.
Probably hot air balloons or like a dirigible of some kinds.
Oh yeah, definitely like the weird animals and stuff.
I
That
want,
sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah, they'd have like wacky relic cards, not because it's a supermarket, but just because of the aurora of the franchise.
Yeah. They would, and then people would, it would be like a V friend situation probably where it would be like a cult.
No, that'd be more like kombucha. Like it'd be a sub cult.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Well, this is a good thought to end on. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks,
Cards.
cards.